Susan Sarandon, Gabrielle Union, Daisy Ridley, Dolly Parton. These are all big names with big voices. They are also just a few of the 200 million women worldwide who live with a condition that seems to get little attention. I'm talking about endometriosis. It's a disorder in which the tissue similar to the inner lining of the uterus grows outside the uterus. It's painful and usually takes 8 to 10 years to receive a diagnosis. Well, another name to add to that list is Shannon Hannawald. She is the founder of Endo Warriors of the Eastern Shore and an ambassador for the Endometriosis Association. Shannon joined us this afternoon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So this is something that you first experienced when you were 15 years old.
Yeah, I started having really bad pain, and my menstrual cycles were horrible and not normal like everybody else's, but the only way to diagnose endometriosis is through laparoscopic surgery. So the doctors kept doing ultrasounds and CAT scans and MRIs, and they can't find anything, so they told my parents I was lying just to get out of school. So for 5 years, I basically fought with my parents because nobody would listen to me. And now that I look back on it, they really didn't have a choice because the test didn't say anything. But once I finally found a doctor and I told him everything, he knew exactly what it was. And I just didn't understand why it took so long to get to that diagnosis. And I feel like other outcomes with my health could have been different because of that.
It's not just the physical pain that you endured with the endometriosis. This really wore on you.
Yes.
Psychologically, didn't it?
It is very mentally, emotionally, and physically draining. And I went into a very deep, dark depression because nobody would listen to me and I had no idea what to do. And that is one of the main things that I want to make sure doesn't happen to anyone else. Unfortunately, there are many women who have committed suicide because of endometriosis because people wouldn't listen to them. So I just need to make sure that I protect the next generation of people.
So the doctor that finally said the word endometriosis, he's the one who told you that you had to have a surgery?
Yeah, he knew exactly when I told him my symptoms. He said, you have endometriosis. And I was like, well, why did nobody else know anything about this? For 5 years, we've been sitting here doing this. And that was the first of my 14 surgeries.
14 surgeries?
Yes.
What were the subsequent surgeries? I mean, what was that to get the lining?
Yes, so it grows from the hormones in your body. So when they would go in, they would scrape it out or burn it off. And then it would grow back in a couple of years and you would have to go have it done again. And unfortunately, one of the main things about endometriosis is infertility. And it has taken the ability to be a mom away from so many women because it takes so long to diagnose that by the time they get a diagnosis, all of their organs are basically destroyed.
Oh, that's awful.
And they can't have children.
So tell me about Endo Warriors.
So my niece actually started going through it, and the doctors were telling her that she didn't have anything wrong with her, and I decided that I needed to make sure that that didn't happen. So I came up with a support group, and it kind of just went crazy, actually, because all of the towns on the Eastern Shore wanted to participate, and they presented proclamations, and I've met so many amazing women. And another woman on Delmarva is Chelsea, and she has Southern Delaware Pelvic Pain and Coalition. And so we've kind of been working together to spread the awareness and get people to understand that they're not alone.
And these towns have actually had awareness nights where they light up the night. It's yellow, right?
Yes, they Caroline County Courthouse was lit up yellow, the town of Denton, the town of Ridgely, the town of Greensboro were all lit up yellow. The governor lit the State House up yellow on March 3rd.
It's come a long way since you were 15 years old, hasn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. So you mentioned infertility.
Yes.
But you were fortunate enough to have a child.
I did. By the grace of God, my oldest son, I didn't have to have any intervention with. My baby, we had to go to Shady Grove, and we lost our first baby. And then we had my youngest son now, who's 4, but he was born 7 weeks early, and I basically was told I had to have a hysterectomy after he was born, because if I tried to have any more children, it would probably kill me. So I just can't stand sitting and watching all these women go through this and feel like they're alone. And then when you say something, everybody's like, oh, well, I know somebody that has that. And so I know it's uncomfortable to talk about, but it needs to be talked about.
All right.
So.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to have some contact information on our website so folks can get a hold of you and Endo Warriors so that we can get the word spread. Shannon Hannawell, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this.
Thank you so much for having me.